sliding doors. It is even great for campers and RVs, because even when your hands are full, Magic Mesh will snap closed behind you. That makes it great for pets too, because instead of scratching and whining, they can come and go as they please, and it puts an end to slamming doors because it closes gently every time. Plus, it's so easy to install. No nails, no screws, no tools. Goes up in seconds and stays up all season long, no matter how often you, your kids, or your dog go through. So let the fresh air in and keep those annoying bugs out with Magic Mesh, a $40 value, yours for just $19.95. Best of all, Magic Mesh saves you money because when it's nice, leave those doors open. You won't have to use air conditioning. And when the weather turns chilly, just take it down and store it away for next year. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer. Just pay separate processing and handling. Use one for your sliding door and one for your back door, one for your home and the other for your RV. That's right, you get 2 Magic Mesh curtains for just $19.95. That's less than $10 each. Don't delay. Call and order yours today.
Call 1-800-959-0326 to order Magic Mesh for $19.95 plus processing and handling, or log on to buymagicmesh.com. Call or log on now.
Good evening. Welcome to RFD-TV Live. Tonight we welcome Monty's plant food back to RFD-TV. We introduce viewers to Monty's products on our last program. Tonight we review some of those products and again hear from testimonials, producers and dealers around the country who have used these great products, and join us via our telephone and or videos here this evening. A pleasure to welcome to RFD-TV tonight Monty's Plant Food President, Dennis Stevens. Dennis, thank you and welcome.
Thanks, Mark.
Good to have you here. We're going to learn from a little bit about you here in just a little bit. And also, Joe Dedman decided to come back as well. Joe is the Certified Crop Advisor. He was with us on our last program, and good to have you back as well.
Thank you, Mark.
Let's start with you. Good to have you here, Mr. President, and it was great to meet you earlier this month. You were visiting our studios, but tell us all a little bit about your background. You've got a long history, obviously, with Monty's.
Well, I started on a small farm, Bourbon County, Kentucky. We had tobacco, corn, cattle. So that's where I started from. Then I married Monty's daughter, Debbie, and Monty and I actually started a business together. And in that business, that's where we started formulating some of the original products that we started with. I took that back to the farm and started trying to answer some of the questions, exactly what's happening with this product and why does it work the way that it does. And just as this has happened, as this has progressed, we've gotten more and more answers, but there's more and more issues that we're having to deal with. So that's hopefully what we'll get to talk about tonight.
Exactly. Now, for viewers that weren't with us here last program, it all started with, correct me, but with roses and helping in backyard gardeners. Am I correct?
That's right. Monty actually was a rosarian, and he was trying to look for a product that would actually help the roses grow better. And he and I had a business together that we really just focused on roses. And we had a pretty good niche market in the Kentucky area. Sometimes we'd even progress even into other states. But with that business, we actually developed this product because we were trying to get something that had some very good attributes of low salt, being pH balanced, and a number of those qualities actually helped us find products that worked really well on whether it was hay, corn, tobacco, alfalfa, a number of things. Then that happened actually in the 80s. So then we started looking for more and more answers, and we developed more and more products as we've gone on. And as we've developed more, or we've come in contact with more issues on the farm, we feel like we've tried to answer those with other products from other areas of the country.
Absolutely. Did you ever think back then when it all kind of started, Dennis, that you'd be sitting here today, RFD-TV, and the product line you have, and the people that are on your team around the country? It's just quite a success story.
Mark, it's very overwhelming for me. knowing the history that I've had with Monty and where we're at now is just really tremendous.
Well, we enjoyed meeting the fellas here when they were on with us in February. Joe was one of those. Joe, and a lot of new viewers coming on board here around the country that may be seeing you for the first time. So welcome back, first of all, but tell us a little bit about your background as well.
Well, as you said, I'm a certified crop advisor, and I grew up on a small farm just outside of Louisville, Kentucky, where Monty's headquarters is. And I grew up on a dairy farm, and so I learned an awful lot dairying and fooling with the crops. And then after a while, we got out of that farming, and I went to work for a local co-op chain. And so I was about 24 years in the industry, but 6.5 of those has been for Monty's plant food company. And so I've really enjoyed working for Monty.
Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you here, coming and having you back again for this show. You talked about the last thing, and I want to kind of start there, give our viewers again kind of a review, if you will. You talked about being basic soil education, and that means basically looking at the soil biology. And share some more thoughts there with us.
It does. In fact, on the last show, we really focused on the soil, and this is what we do with our reps, with farmers especially, is we tell them that it's more than dirt, because it's really a living organism out there that they're growing their crops in. And so it's more than N, P, and K and dealing with pH. And speaking of pH, this is one of the tools that many of our reps use out in the field. This is a quick read on a pH issue that might be in the soil. So we can go out and actually put this in the soil. Usually it's in problem areas. And we can get a very quick reading on that pH, and then in turn we can actually help the farmer diagnose the problem and also say, well, this is what you need to do to not only correct the pH, but to correct other problems that he's dealing with out in the field. And so this is a very useful tool that we use out in the field.
And Dennis, obviously you've been there since the very beginning, and the products being first developed here. Maybe going over some of the kind of things that our viewers need to know about soil conditioners, if you will. And you've got a demonstration that you're going to do here too.
Yeah, I was going to set this up here, Mark.
Sure.
And this is basically an example of how our products basically work. I'm putting in a product that's similar to ours, but it's from another company, and then I'm going to. This is our product. We actually add that.
And what are we going to
water.
see while it's happening here? Maybe while it's happening, you can describe
what we're trying to show is the activity that's actually taking place, because this is the difference. You'll notice that this product is just kind of really sitting there, and our interest is being able to activate it and get it going into the soil, because there are so many issues that take place in the soil, whether or not it's soil compaction, needing more microbial activity, and that's what the carbon, whether it's dry or liquid, it's actually designed to go into the soil and actually stimulate that or help relieve that compaction. In some cases, the water holding capacity actually helps that more become, because one of the things I always say, Mark, their soil is like a bank account for that farmer.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. That was very interesting. Go ahead and talk more about that.
So the importance is if you treat that like that account, then when you start at the beginning of the season, you want to be able to build up that account as much as possible in order to make it be as productive for that crop as possible, whether it's from the beginning or whether it's at the harvest time. Anytime that you can increase the activity in that soil, that's one of the benefits.
We've got some side-by-side pictures. Maybe you can kind of walk through, either you or Joe, and what we're kind of seeing here.
Well, that's a very neat picture, because what has happened is we've added the liquid carbon product to liquid nitrogen. And on the right hand, you see where it actually buffered the burn effect of liquid nitrogen, which all farmers have to deal with. And on the left, we did not put the carbon in with it, and we see the burn that's on that wheat in that picture. So that is a very neat characteristic of this product.
Now, we understand we have some other another
it's
example
really
here.
the same kind of issue where we sprayed half of the field of this wheat with the carbon added into the liquid nitrogen, and again, it is showing the buffering effect that these humics and fulvic acids that are in our product has on liquid nitrogen to buffer it. And then I think there's even yet one more picture. And the neat part about this picture is that this is 1 year later. So this is the farmer put it on the spring before, and where you're seeing on the left and in the forefront of the picture, the carbon is still working in that soil, doing what Dennis described of this very active product still working 1 year later in this guy's wheat. So that was a very neat picture too.
So again, Dennis, the demonstration here, the other product still just sitting on top here. So that producer is on that other edge there, getting the soil.
Yes.
Isn't conditioned, I guess. Is that simple as that?
It could be. And I mean, this may eventually start releasing over a period of time. But if you think about it, a crop, when you put that plant in the ground, you only have that one season. Well, if you're waiting for this to work for 2 or 3 seasons, what are you doing for those other 2 or 3 seasons? Right. This product is basically designed to go into the soil.
And the last picture, maybe, Joe, kind of illustrated what you were just talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the activity of this product still working in that soil that the farmer gets to see something even the next year.
Yeah. Now, we talked about, in addition to soil conditioners, one of the things we wanted to visit with tonight for our viewers is a new line called Agri Hants. I know we're excited to talk about, we can't do it all in one show. You're going to come back in April, and we're glad to have you here. So let's kind of start that conversation.
Well, and we wanted to tell the viewers tonight about our new product, Agri Hants, which has been about 3 years in the making. We've done a lot of trials with it, and we've worked with this product in corn and soybeans and wheat. And it's a blend of 4 of our products that we have put together to make a very, each product works upon top of the other one. So we call it a synergy. It has extra synergy that when we put those 4 products together, we see a whole lot more things happening than just using like one product. So it may be this product, another product, and yet 2 more that we have placed together, and we get a lot of activity, especially in the soil and also on the plants. And we've introduced 3 products. It's called S, Agrihance-S, Agrihance-V, and Agrihance-R. And it's really that simple. S is for starter, V is for vegetative, and R is for reproductive. And tonight's show, we're focused mainly on the S product.
That was introduced last fall, am I correct?
Yes, yes.
And Dennis, let's talk about it. It goes without saying, it contains all the same great qualities as your other products.
Exactly. You know, being pH balanced, basically neutral, very low salts. And when you combine those together, and this was really exciting for me, knowing that now instead of having to tell the farmer, well, add this and add this and add this, now we have this all blended together, and it makes it so much easier for the farmer to use. Very good tank flexibility, so it basically is very easy to use. And then it also delivers all the different products equally at the time of. What's so important, when you take that seed, you put it in the ground, this can go right on the seed, help stimulate the microbial activity around that seed, and actually helps that from the very beginning all the way. On soybeans, being able to go right over top of the soybeans, that's very, very important.
Right in the furrow.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, that's one thing you talked about here. And it's pH neutral.
Yes.
pH neutral and compatible. I think those are kind of 3 things: compatible, pH neutral, and goes right in the furrow. I think, you know, those are 3 important, if we don't cover anything else.
Yeah. Exactly.
3 very important points here. We had a chance earlier this week to talk to one of your great customers, many. This one is in Flemingsburg, Kentucky. His name is David Gray. To visit with him on the telephone. Well, let's listen to what David has to say.
With Southern States Flemingsburg Co-op. I'm the crops manager here. We're in northeastern Kentucky. I've been here for 19 years, been dealing with the crops for 14 years. We have corn, soybeans, tobacco, wheat, alfalfa, and then we have a lot of pasture ground that we tend to as well. We had several inquiries 4 or 5 years ago of products that would supplement their tobacco growers fertilizer program. Similar products had been used, but they were misrepresented in our area. And after researching what products we would use to accomplish the producer's needs, Monty's plant food products was the best choice for us. Since then, we've incorporated a full line of Monty's products for all the crops in our area. We were kind of on a trial basis with a lot of our producers. We wanted them to try it in some challenged areas rather than all the way across the entire field, just so that they could see for themselves and we could gauge the response. We actually used a soybean blended product last year. Several years ago, we started using a corn starter in the furrow, and we actually experienced a new realm of early growth opportunities with corn. With that, we gained interest in producers using a starter with soybeans, since a lot of our corn growers had split row planters. Since we had the equipment for the corn units already in place, it was just a ease of implementing those corn or those soybean units as well. So we kind of had a blended product produced by Monty's, and that's where we started with the blended products or the starter products. That's where Agri Hants comes in with the soybean and corn. Starters in the furrow that we've used on the corn have been allowing the seed to have additional energy and have a boost as the corn sprouts and the initial roots develop. It's a much different result than that of a 2x2 system, where it may be 2 to 3 weeks before the starter is utilized. Monty's Agrihance products supplies enough supplemental nutrition for that critical 3 to 5 week period. Then it promotes the plant to have enough initiative to properly develop its root system. That's where we've seen a very good result from the starters on the corn. In the early development, we have seen a substantial difference in root development on the soybeans. I think it's a very wise investment and probably the biggest opportunity to get a return on your investment.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about, return on the investment. Joe, you worked with David on some of those trials, and maybe just summarizing kind of what stands out to you in those comments that he just made.
Well, the neat part that we heard from David and working with those guys at Flemingsburg, they are such innovators. I mean, they think outside the box. It was so great to work with them on products like this. And as David did mention in there, the focus really was on those first 3 to 5 weeks of the plant. And so this was the neat part of our product, the Agrihance-S, that we put it in the row on soybean seed, which is usually not being done very much. And they actually took the charge in the beginning to let's go out and try this. And we've seen tremendous results by putting it in the row on the seed with soybeans.
Mm-hmm. Thought you would have, Dennis, on what David had to share with us.
Well, it's just, again, a great difference in the way that we look at things now. 10 years ago, when we were really starting to introduce this to the farm, some of the things that we talk about now wasn't even being considered. But when you have progressive people like David, it makes it so much more enjoyable to be able to work with farmers and with dealers. And
you're going to have to, we're going to excuse you just for a little while, bring in one of your territory managers here. But I think one of the things that both of you have kind of alluded to, and really important here, don't want to gloss over, is that it's so important to get that plant off to that great start. You mentioned the early season. It seems to me, just from learning from you folks here at your second visit, that if you get behind a little bit and that plant gets stressed and doesn't have the nutrition that it needs, and that it never does catch up. Am I correct in that?
That's true. I mean, and this is what we're seeing, especially with this product, is when we're put it directly in the row on the seed, we're getting that seedling off to the fastest start that it can take out of the ground. It actually gives it extra vigor. It helps with germination. And all the things that farmers are needing, we're putting it right in that zone where it needs it, instead of over 2x2 or broadcast or something like that. So again, this contributes to what farmers are wanting to do today, is take their crops to higher yield levels, and this is one of the ways that we're doing that.
Very good. Again, Dennis, we're going to excuse you for a little bit and bring in one of your great people here, another one of your team members, but you're going to have you back later to talk to our viewers on the telephone. So we appreciate meeting you, and we're going to have you back later, so don't go too far away out there, okay?
Thanks, Mark.
All right, and when we do come back, we'll be joined by Dan Marley. He's Monty's Midwest Territory Manager. We'll hear more from producers around the country, and we do look forward to taking some of your questions later in our program as well. Lots more to come here on RFD. RFD TV Live, Monty's Plant Food. We'll be right back here on RFD TV, rural America's most important network.
Welcome to RFD TV's new product showcase featuring today's latest products. With Agrihance, now you can give your crops the nutrients they need when they need them. Agrihance-S, R, and V are formulated so that you control and manage the delivery of nutrients during each phase of your crop's development. To maximize overall yields, Agrihance offers tank mix flexibility, allowing you to mix and apply with most farm chemicals without an extra pass. This season, be in control and manage your crops from planting to harvest with Agrihance. Visit Monty'sPlantFood.com.
Next to your car's engine, your transmission is the second most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops most seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
We're able to start spraying early with Helix GT, where straight glyphosate does not permit that.
It's really give us season-long control on resistant water hemp.
We never get a complaint when it's clean in the fall. You know, we're riding in the combine with our customers and everything's clean. You know, that's makes for a good day. But it did do a good job, so.
Easy, convenient, and it works.
9 out of 10 growers return to Helix GT year after year.
When 4 lanes turn to 2 and the air becomes just a little sweeter, you'll know you're getting closer. We are where the work gets done. If you're a worker, a fixer, a grower, or a doer, then welcome home. Southern States, a place for those who do. Farmer-owned since 1923. With Monty's, you get better soil, better crops, and better yields. Make the most of your harvest. Ask for Monty's products at your Southern States.
Welcome back to RFD TV Live. Monty's Plant Food joining us here this evening and for the second time. Hope you're with us in February. If not, taking good notes here. We are going to open up our telephone lines a bit later, and you becoming a very important part of our program as to ask questions of our panel, and we'll have Dennis Stevens back with us at that time as well. Right now, a chance to welcome another member, Dan Marley, who is Midwest Territory Manager. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks, Mark.
Good to have you here.
Very good to be here.
Tell us about your Midwest. What does Midwest mean in your territory?
Yeah, Midwest means to us anyway. I cover parts of Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and even some into Wisconsin as well. So.
And home state told me was you're a Hoosier.
I am indeed.
I'm not sure an Indiana Hoosier, but you're in the Hoosier state.
I am a Hoosier.
Everybody's
indeed.
a basketball fan this time of year.
Yeah.
You know.
Born and raised in the flat land of Indiana, mainly corn and soybeans in our area. Born and raised there. Another job prior to Monty's transferred me down to Louisville, and that's where I began to learn more about Monty's products and the opportunities there. And that was about 8 years ago that I was able to come on with Monty's Plant Food. Worked the first 5 years down in the Louisville corporate office with dealer support, farmer meetings, that sort of thing. And then about 3 years ago, got transferred back up with Monty's at my request back to north central Indiana, close to my home area.
Good.
And now I get to go out and visit more directly with co-ops, dealers, farmers in the area, helping try to solve their problems, let them know about the benefits that Monty's can produce on their farm.
And you know, we're going to talk a lot about corn and soybeans and wheat, as you would expect on a program like this, but you were telling me before going on, you listed 5 or 6 more crops that are in your area that you might not think about when you add Michigan and Wisconsin. Talk about the different variations of crops you have.
Yeah, and in our area, we do deal primarily with corn and soybeans. Sure. That's still the bread and butter. But in certain areas, especially northwest Ohio, southern Michigan, parts of Indiana, we run across quite a bit of wheat as well. And then in addition to that, Wisconsin specifically, you know, we get into the cranberry growers and some specialty crops like that. Specialty produce growers in southern Michigan, everything from green beans to sweet corn, tomatoes in Indiana. So Monty's truly is a product that can be used on a wide variety of crops.
Absolutely, and so I hope our viewers are taking notes here. It doesn't have to be, you don't need to be a corn, soybean, wheat producer, just the crops that Dan just mentioned. If you have a question that you'd like answered in any of those crops, maybe you're just getting started in one of those specialty crops, we certainly have the people here that can answer your questions, and that'll be coming up a bit later. Joe, no matter what crop it is, the starter program and planting time goes without saying is so important for the success of the season overall.
It is, because really the issues that farmers are dealing with when they plant, and this is anywhere in the country usually, is we're going into cool soils. Usually, many times it's cool, damp conditions. And that's one of the reasons that farmers have taken a look at starters at all, is they want to start that seed off to such a great start. And usually that starter will have a high phosphorus in it, and sometimes it has some extra nitrogen in it. Well, that's what we've done with the Agrihance product. We brought in a very natural kind of product, that it's non-detriment to the seed. You can put it directly on the seed in the row. And when we do that, we're getting tremendous germination, more stamina, quicker emergence out of the soil. And these are things that farmers are looking for, is to get that seed that they just paid a lot of money for out of the ground as fast as they can.
And Dan, it goes then kind of tying to that, is easy to use. Maybe some of the other nuances here that we want to make sure viewers take home with them this evening.
Sure. Yeah, and Agrihance-S is best used directly on the seed where at all possible. We can certainly be combined with, say, a 1034-0 or an 1137-0 or anything else that someone might be using 2x2. But ideally, and with best results, we want to be as near to that seed, on that seed, under that seed, in that furrow as we can. In fact, we believe so much in that we know that a lot of guys aren't set up for that quite yet, maybe on their soybean planter. So we are even offering now an equipment rebate program, so that based upon the amount of Agrihance-S that you purchase, we will actually help you, give you a rebate or a reimbursement, whether it's for a new planter to go directly on the seed in furrow, or whether it's putting different equipment or adjusting that planter that you currently have so that you can get that directly on furrow on the seed, on the beans as well.
And people like yourself and the other dealers will have all that information here after the program tonight if they want to learn more about, or viewers want to learn more about that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Very good. All right, next we're going to hear from two crop consultants of the Jewel Grain Company. They're in Ohio.
Right, Northwest Ohio.
Pete and Jerry, testimonials here, and great perspective. Let's listen to their comments.
The Jewel Grain Company is located we're in the northwest corner of Ohio. We service Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan.
Our farmers raise corn, wheat, soybeans, and alfalfa.
We began selling Monty's products 5 years ago. Had a local farmer that had won a barrel of the Calcium Plus at the local farm show, and I was rather hesitant to use the product, to put it on his fields, because I've used these kind of products before and had less than good results.
One of his neighbors drove by the field, seen the quality of the way the field looked like, and he come up to me, and matter of fact, it was more than one or two customers come up to me and say, hey, whatever he put on his field, I want it on my field next year.
We're using the Monty's products on corn in our pop-up fertilizers and on foliar, along with soybeans pop-up and foliar, along with wheat and alfalfa.
The last few years, the increase of fertilizer prices just got out of line, so we use the Monty's to supplement into our fertilizer. We know we still need to use the regular fertilizers, but if we can save the farmer 20–30%, that's big for our guys.
The Monty's products have been working very well for us. We've seen increase in test weight, plant health, and yield.
Our in-the-row seed applications of Monty's is going to help us a lot in the fact that we can use less product. We can go farther with each fill. That's time, and time is money in the spring. With the weather situation that we've had in the last 5–6 years, we don't have the luxury of going out there and spending a lot of time. We have to do a lot in a short period of time. With the Monty's products, we don't have to fill as much, and it goes farther.
The Monty's products in the row on the seed, the Monty's creates a good environment for the seed to get started, to get emerged, and gives it a healthy start.
The microorganisms down there, they'll grow again. We've killed them because we went from I think an organic soil 40 years ago to a mineral soil We have no live organisms out. We have no night crawlers out there. The Monty products, I'm hoping, will do the same thing that they did 40 years ago by plowing down clover, plowing down manure. I'm thinking the Monty's Calcium Plus our other products are going to be here for a long time. As we get into the future down through there, I think it's going to be a staple to these guys in the fields. They're going to use a lot because of the cost savings and what it's going to do to their soils.
Better part.
Dan, you work with Jerry and Pete on a regular basis here. Maybe just again summarizing great people, and like our earlier testimony, David Gray, you learn a lot from those kind of people, and you appreciate them.
Absolutely, and Jewel Grain is a great example. They had a customer that wanted to try our product. They listened, and now they see the benefits of the Monty's products as well. Especially in row on the seed. That's something that they have had several customers trying now with very good success. That's something that we want to continue to promote with the Agrihance line.
You know, something we didn't cover when we introduced you, you talked about your Midwest territory, Ohio, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan. You, weather-wise, you saw it all last growing season.
We did, yes. We were very, very wet to start out with, so a lot of guys had delayed planting just because everything was so wet and hard to get out to. Once they finally got things in the ground, we went through a stressful period where we turned off very, very dry in a lot of those areas. So again, we're dealing with more stress. And then even harvest time was a challenge as well. Some areas were wet enough that we couldn't get out and harvest when we wanted to. Northwest Ohio still had some fields of both corn and beans still sitting out there in January and February this year, believe it or not, which is hard to believe.
You had to wait for the freeze to get out there to get the rest of it in.
Right, right.
And you hate to go through those kind of years, but they certainly see the benefits of a product like Agri Hants or the other Monty's products, and Joe, in that sort of a scenario.
That's true. Even with Pete and Jerry, they're innovative also. They think outside the box. But based on all the issues that Dan was telling about that they deal with weather, this is where our products come in. I think last show we talked about a toolbox. There were tools in the farmer's toolbox.
Yeah.
Well, that is what our products are doing. They're helping them with this delayed planting of helping to speed the crop up or feed the crop or getting it emerged quicker and so forth. So we're really working hand in hand with our dealers and farmers in dealing with these issues.
And we have another farmer of your area, again, Dan, we're going to hear from right now. His name is Matt Stoller. He's a producer in Ohio, customer of Jewel Grain Company, and we had his thoughts on video as well to join us this evening. Here's...
I'm fourth generation. It started back in the late 1920s, early 1930s by my great-grandfather. We're located in Paulding, Ohio, up in the northwest corner of the state. So we farm 4,000 acres of corn, soybeans, and wheat, and we have a custom silage harvesting operation. We started using the Monty's products when we started working with Jewel Grain. We've kind of progressed on with the Agri Hants and some of the crop blends and foliar feeds. Some of the ways we use it and apply the Monty's is, if you start at the beginning of the year, we put it in the 28% when we top dress the wheat. We feel that it gives less burn. We use it in the starter of the corn. We started in 2x2, and we have since moved to the Agri Hants in the row and on the seed, where we've been able to cut our fertilizer rates. We use it in the 28% when we side dress the wheat, and we also use the soybean blend or when we as a pop-up in our twin row beans. Monty's products are really easy to use. Some of the nice things is they're non-toxic. It's actually a food grade. It's very safe. You don't have to worry about harmful fumes when you open up the jug. If it gets on your skin, you just wash it off with water. Some of the results we've seen using the Agrihance products is quicker emergence, stronger plant health at the beginning of life or of the seedling. In our lake bed soils, it's very cool, wet, heavy ground in the spring, so any little push and extra oomph you can give that plant to get it going is a big plus. Some of the returns on investment we've seen with Monty's not only has to do with yield or dollars back is when you spray your wheat with the Monty's, we don't get the burn. And we think anything that we can do to keep that plant healthier and less damage to it, no matter what it is a plus. Then we started with the Agrihance or the corn blend at that time in the starter. And last year we started using the soybean blend on the seed or in the row. And we were seeing a 2 to 3 bushel increase using that in the row and as a soybean starter. I'd tell other farmers that want to try Monty's or start using Monty's, I would do what they suggested us. Put it on your worst ground first. You'll see quicker results, or you'll see faster results that way. It's not going to work miracles overnight. I suggest giving it a 2-year trial at least. If you up the rate to begin with, give it a little stronger start, that helps too, but put it on your worst ground first and let's see what it'll do for you.
Wow, Matt Stoller, great. There's a testimonial here. Put it on your worst ground first. Yeah. What do you think about that?
That's true. We tell a lot of the farmers that at our meetings because they have nothing to lose.
Yeah, I guess.
Because they got bad issues out there somewhere. We say, well, okay, let's take our product and go out and use it on your worst field first. And this is really where we win a lot of the farmers' confidence, is that nobody's ever asked me to put it on my worst field first. And so, yeah, that's what we want to do, because we're trying to provide solutions for farmers.
And any other comments here? You work, again, Matt Stoller, you know him, and just to summarize what he talks about, non-toxic was one of the things I picked out of there that's safe.
Absolutely. Monty's is a very safe food-grade product. It's pH balanced, it's low salt. That's one of the reasons that we can put it directly even on soybean seed, grass seed, that sort of thing. So yes, very easy to work with. The stress, too, getting back to what Matt was talking about and Joe alluded to, stress is another advantage for Monty's, to where a lot of times we can see a benefit helping a plant through a stress or helping a crop through a stress. And that's one of the reasons why we say if a stress is coming, try and get that plant fed now before that plant has to deal with that stress.
Right. And we saw the packaging there, and we're talking more about the Agri Hants products during the next 30 days. But tonight, more of the Agrihance-S for the seed, I guess, and that's what the S stands for.
It is, because that's where we want them to use it first. And again, it's back to what Dan was talking about, the equipment program. Some farmers are not rigged up or fixed up to put it in the row on the seed. So we've created that rebate program that would help the farmer, hey, modify my equipment or change my equipment, or we usually say, first we want it on the seed, second we'll deal with it 2 by 2, and then last of all, well, if you don't have any of those, then let's broadcast it on the soil, and you're going to get a benefit out of any way you use it.
Before we take our break here, we're going to have Dennis Stevens back with us. But Dan, maybe just people that are joining us during the hour here, to say, well, what's the program here for them Monty's to help me with my equipment? Maybe go through that again.
Yeah, based upon our equipment rebate program, what we want to do is help that farmer, if he's not set up to go in row, is to kind of help him get there to where he can put that Agrihance-S directly on the seed in furrow. For each gallon of Agrihance-S that the farmer purchases, we will provide $1 rebate back to that farmer, up to $1,500 per year, up to 3 years straight running. So potentially, Monty's could help pay for up to $4,500 of the cost either of a new planter or changing that current planter over to where he can put that directly on the seed.
And dealers will have information on that on the website, which we'll be giving here, as we have been during the hour. We'll give that as well. That have all the information there.
Absolutely.
For them to get more information. All right, right now we want to give you our telephone number, because we want you to join us here. That's an important part of our program each and every week here, where we get you in touch with our guests here. And tonight, Monty's Plant Food, talking about this planting season coming up. We'd like to have you join us. There's our toll-free number, is 877-731-6733. Lines opening now. Don't wait too long. We want to hear from you before the hour is over. 877-731-6733. We're going to take our second break. We'll come right back. We'll invite Dennis Stevens to join us here on the panel, talk a little bit more, and take your telephone calls. So more to come here on RFD-TV Live with Monty's Plant Food here on rural America's most important network. Stay with us.
$127 documented dragons prevented, proven, ridden, and endorsed in 50 states and 10 foreign countries. Be sure and check with your local tack shop.
Hey guys, are you ready to get your mow on? Start with Bad Boy Mowers.
With some of the highest horsepowers available, Bad Boy's heavy construction includes a 1/4-inch steel deck and independent front and rear compression shop for a smooth ride and precision cut. Our patented swing-away design makes for easy access and makes this the mower America's talking about. 27 horsepower, 60-inch cut, $49.99.
That's Bad Boy, baby. Mow with an attitude.
Tune in to RFD-TV Live Thursday with John Deere and learn how Farm Insight Solutions can transform your operational data into actionable, information-based insights to improve your productivity. Plus, we'll be standing by to take your telephone calls. Don't miss RFD-TV Live with John Deere, hosted by agricultural farm broadcaster Max Armstrong. Thursday, March 15th at 10 p.m. Eastern, only on RFD-TV.
When 4 lanes turn to 2 and the air becomes just a little sweeter, you'll know you're getting closer. We are where the work gets done. If you're a worker, a fixer, a grower, or a doer, then welcome home. Southern States, a place for those who do. Farmer-owned since 1923. With Monty's, you get better soil, better crops, and better yields. Make the most of your harvest. Ask for Monty's products at your Southern States.
Welcome back to RFD TV Live. Our friends from Monty's Plant Food joining us here this evening. Our telephone number for you to join us. If you have a question for our panel, Dennis joining us here, Dennis Stevens, president of Monty's Plant Food. Your questions at toll-free 877-731-6733. Understand lines are filling up in a hurry, so don't wait too long. 877-731-6733. Before we get to our telephone calls, we spent a lot of time talking about Agri Hants. Started last fall, introduced last fall, Joe, and Agrihance-S, but you also said we'll be in April. We're going to come back again and talk about Agrihance-V and Agrihance-R, but maybe just a little sneak preview here as it relates to Agrihance-V for alfalfa and pasture.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's a total management program. We're actually sell a program for the alfalfa, and farmers out there usually will fertilize in the spring of the year, and usually that's the one time that they do it, and then it's over with, and they just reap the results thereafter. Mm-hmm. But we bring in a program and have them to spray after every cutting, approximately 3 to 5 inches regrowth, and then they come in and spray the plants because our product is a plant food, so the plant immediately takes it up and responds to that. And it's all about, especially on alfalfa, is building that crown. You want that crown to get healthier and healthier and put out more and more shoots and sprouts, because that's how you're going to get your yields higher and higher, especially on the alfalfa. And we increase the total digestible nutrients that's in it, the total relative feed value, and we increase protein, as we testified on the last show from Troy from North Dakota, excuse me. And so we're seeing all of that happen in alfalfa just by using our products after every cutting.
Dennis, does this come about from just listening to your customers? I think that's you know, we talked about before the show here early this afternoon. You all do a lot of listening, and that's where you have to start, and you're responding to what their producers are talking about here as it relates to alfalfa and pasture conditions.
That's right. We've always said we try to become a solutions-based company because we know that farmers are going to have issues throughout the growing season, whether it's weather-related, whether it's just mechanical or chemical-related. We try to come up with a solution, and that's typically what we all will say. Give us your worst field and let us see if we can help you, and let's see the success that we can actually deliver.
Yeah, Matt Stoller said, you know, it's going to help. It's not a miracle cure, but it's going to certainly make a difference. I guess that's right. The thing. We can draw a line there and say for sure that is going to happen. All right. Our telephone number for you to join us here tonight with our time remaining is toll-free is 877-731-6733. Again, lines open, 877-731-6733. Ready to go to work and answer some questions here from our viewers? They're ready to ask you a question. Let's go to Minnesota. George, you're up first. Welcome to RFD TV Live with our friends from Monty's.
Good evening. Say, in Minnesota, I have quite a good faith in the recommendations that the Minnesota people and the Extension Service give. I wonder if this has been evaluated, these products that you talk about has been evaluated by researchers in the university system. I haven't seen any data from you people as to whether it has or has not.
All right. Thanks for the call. Data from universities. Anybody?
Yeah, I'll take that. George, we basically have data from throughout the throughout the United States. We have some university studies. We actually have some studies from independent researchers. So we have it, and it's broad-based all over the United States. But in some cases, we'll actually have results from, I know in your area in Minnesota, we actually have some farmers who have actually done it on alfalfa, especially in some soils that's maybe a little bit sandier. So we've actually done multiple trials throughout the country, but depending on where you're located, we do have a listing of those, and by all means, go to our website, look at that, and that's at www.montysplantfood.com, and look for the trials.
How would he find that easier way for George and any other people try to find out when they go to that website? Is there a place where they can kind of click on research and data?
Yes.
Is that simple?
There is, yes, and for trials, testimonials.
Like we saw tonight from Matt and folks from Jewel Grain as well. All right, very good. Let's go to Wisconsin, next door there. Dale, thank you. You're up next. Your question for our panel.
Hello, I was calling about, I was wondering how this works on sandy soil with had pine trees on it. I was wondering what you got, the kind of fertilizer you got to use on that with this stuff.
Sandy soil.
Well, I'll answer that and talk to you a little bit, Dale, about that. Being up in Wisconsin, yes, sandy soil, first of all, before we talk about the fertilizer side of it, I would suggest that maybe you look into the Monty's liquid carbon. The humic that is in that carbon product can help tremendously with your sandier soils. One of the things that humic is going to help do is help hold that both nutrient and moisture retention a little bit longer in that sandy soil, so that you don't get as much leaching as quickly through your sandier soils. So the longer that you can hold both the moisture and the nutrients for your trees, in this case to take up, the better off you may be. And then we can be used as a foliar. The Agrihance-V that we'll talk about more in detail next time may be a benefit to spray as a foliar over the top of your trees. But I will mention and say that Monty's is not a fertilizer. We are a plant food. So you still need good soil fertility in the soil, but Monty's can definitely supplement that, helping to feed that crop directly.
Well, that's a great point. Anybody else want to add? But I think, it's
soil test. We always recommend soil testing. So no matter what crop you're growing, it would be great to go on and pull a soil sample to see what nutrients that you have in the soil. And then he can go off of that and then utilize our products in addition to that as well.
Anything else, Dennis?
Well,
sandy soils.
Sandy soils, and also where he referred to acidic, trying to grow plants in a more of acidic conditions. You can not necessarily, because our product is pH balanced, what you would do is you would incorporate that with something else if you were trying to adjust the pH of the soil. So the advantage of using our liquid carbon, our carbon product, you can actually put that into the soil, and then that actually helps mineralize and create the right environment, and it is just through mineralization, it will help create the right conditions for that plant.
Very good. Less than 10 minutes to go before we have to say goodnight, so let's get to more phone calls. Again, if you would like to join us tonight, our toll-free number is 877-731-6733. A few lines are open, I'm told. Just a few lines, so don't wait. Again, 877-731-6733. Let's go to Iowa. Bill, thank you for holding on. You're up next. Your question.
Good evening. I side dress 28. I placed that 8 inches from the corn plant. Will it move to the corn roots?
You understand those dimensions there again?
Yeah. Actually, in Iowa, Bill, we use a product called Calcium Plus. And we put that in with the nitrogen. It will help some to disperse that nitrogen out into to get closer to the roots, but at the same time, the plant's going to be growing out to meet it. So if you go all the way out as far as, I think you said 8 inches.
Yeah, 8 inches.
It's going to take a little longer for that plant to go out there and reach that zone that you've put that nitrogen in. But the Calcium Plus product will help move that toward the root system, and it all depends on the growing season, the conditions, how much rain, and so forth, and time of planting, as to how fast that will move over toward the plant.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Dennis. Look like you want to add something there.
Sorry. Well,
You're the president. I mean, you.
one of the things that I wanted to mention, with it being 8 inches from the distance, one of the things by adding the calcium plus to that, you actually help stabilize that 28 because it's pretty volatile. And if you can stabilize that nitrogen, as the corn roots start to reach out, because we've stabilized that nitrogen, it's basically creating a very good environment for that corn plant or whatever row crop that you might have out there. So that is a benefit by putting it in with that 28.
So the 8 inches is not a problem if he wants to continue in that regard.
Yeah,
that's okay.
That's true.
That's right. All right. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Tennessee. Keep getting the calls in here. Bob, thank you for holding, and your question now.
Yes, I have a two-part question. How does this work on grass, clover, as far as pastures as well as hay?
Okay, grass and hay.
And my other part is how do I get the product? Who do I contact?
All right. See if we can answer both of those.
Absolutely. I mean, hay crops actually are very, very beneficial with the Monties. In fact, if you grew every crop under the sun and wanted to try Monties on just one crop, a hay crop, meaning alfalfa or another legume like your clover that you're speaking about, something about those legumes just love to suck in the Monties and put it to work. So yes, absolutely put it on your clover. And then as far as finding a dealer, you can go to our website, which is www.montysplantfood.com. There is a dealer locator on there, so you can type in your zip code and it will let you know if there is a dealer close to you. If not, you can also call our toll-free number, which is 1-800-978-6342, and whoever answers the phone there can forward you to someone that can help you directly.
And by the way, Bob and other viewers will be giving the website and that 800 number before the hour is over, which is coming up here. So don't, if you have a piece of paper and a pencil, you may want to stay handy, and we'll give you that toll-free number, if you'd rather call during regular business hours, or you can leave a message, I guess, after hours as well. And or again, go to that website, as we have talked about here, Dan, and find a dealer near you. As we wait for another caller here, let me give you the telephone number again. Just a few minutes left here before we have to say goodnight. 877-731-6733. Lines open here now, and I'd like to hear from you. We stay in the Midwest here to Indiana. Richard, you're up next. Your question for our panel.
Yes. I just wanted to say that you guys do have a very good product.
Thank you.
I've been using it now for probably, maybe 4 years, probably been using it. You guys first came out with it, and it definitely helps on backing off on your fertilizer cost by putting it in, say we've got it in the row, and then like a guy called in and had the nitrogen, we also put it in there, and it stabilizes it right there in that area.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate the call. Those are the kind of calls I can ask either one of you and say, absolutely, that's what you like to hear. Really, that's the payoff for everything, all the research, Dennis, through the years and introducing these products. I mean, you don't get enough of that kind of a call.
Exactly. It's wonderful.
Let's go to, well, let's see, before our next caller is up there, I think we have another one on here. Someone that couldn't hang on says, Monty has a starter. Producers have used starters before. Maybe explain, Joe, Monty's perspective in that regard.
Well, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. In the beginning, several years ago, farmers started using starters, and Dan mentioned some of that, a 1034-0 or 1137-0. Sometimes they've even put liquid nitrogen out 2x2, and that's usually 2 inches under the seed and 2 inches away from the seed. And that mainly was the issue there, was it's too high salts. And these salts would actually inhibit seeds from germinating and coming up. So we thought about that, and we thought about all the high prices that farmers are paying for seed, and we thought, you know what, I think we could put our products to a very good use of putting them directly in the row on the seed. And because we have this neutral product and it's a pH balance and it's very safe, we saw immediate reaction from the seed that it is germinating faster, it's got more stamina. And the other issue is, how long does it take a seedling to germinate and come out 2 inches and reach fertilizer. How much yield is lost today? Well, nobody's ever thought about calculating all that. And it's all about emergence. I want that seedling to get up the second that I can get it up out of the soil, because that takes me quicker and faster, the most yield potential that I can get.
Right. And you said most of the time you're in wet soil, maybe in cool soil. Yeah. Although this winter, who knows, when you're talking 60s and 70s here, and where the kind of year we are, it's unbelievable the kind of year we've gone through. Let's try to get back a couple more phone calls here, a couple of minutes left. Lee from Texas, thank you for holding on, and now your question.
Yes, sir. I'm from South Texas, down here around the Victoria, Texas area. Like last year during the drought, we had high temperatures, average about 105, 106 with 20 to 30 mile an hour winds.
Yes, you did.
I'm going to ask the question. I'm raising improved coastal Bermuda grass for hay, for forage to put up in hay. I've topped here about a week. We've got a good season started with rain and stuff, and I've top dressed and weed sprayed at the same time with my fertilizer, liquid fertilizer. My question is, I can raise 3 cuttings with ideal conditions. Can I apply this? I'm going to be putting 100 pounds of nitrogen down after each cutting. I can apply this during the real hot time of the year in my broadcast fertilizing and not worry about the wind and the heat evaporating or hurting the product, and still get use for my grass forage.
Okay.
Well,
go ahead.
Lee, really, one of the things that's always been unique about our products is the fact that it's so, as Dan had said, it's basically a plant food, and it's really designed because of its unique blend and the way it interacts with the plant. It's really quick in being absorbed, so there's always going to be some form of issues when you talk about the weather and drying things out. But that's the nice thing about our product, is because it's so quick. Once it gets onto the plant, it really helps open up that plant. The plant recognizes, hey, there's something really good here, and it takes it in at a very good, quick, rapid rate.
And again, Neely, real quick, any other thoughts here for our caller in Texas? Got some rain down there. He puts on his application after each cutting. Anything to add there?
Well, he was mentioning putting down nitrogen right after his cutting. And again, back to this plant food, you want the plant up around 3 or 4 inches, if you could, to absorb the product. So he could either use our dry product, the dry carbon that we actually demonstrated here tonight, and put that directly in with the fertilizer and spread it on with the nitrogen. Or he could actually impregnate the liquid carbon on the fertilizer and spread it that way. Or he can spread it by itself, as Dennis was talking about, directly onto the plants.
We have just a couple of minutes left here. We're going to have to get our wrap up, but we want to get Stephen on the air here. Stephen has a question from North Carolina. Stephen, you made it. Quick question from you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I currently use a liquid 1137O in my corn starter. Is this a product that you could use with? And how much would you use with it, if so?
We do have farmers that do that. They still use the 1037O or the 1034O, and we're adding our liquid carbon product in, usually at the rate of 1 quart to the acre, and many times farmers are using it at 2 quarts to the acre because they're seeing that much more benefit. So I would definitely try it with some of your starter fertilizers that you've been using. We usually see tremendous more root growth when we add the carbon in with traditional fertilizers. And then again, at the very same time, why don't you try a little bit of our Agrihance-S product as a trial somewhere in your field as well, so you can see the difference.
Very good. We have just about 40 seconds left, so we want to make sure just 10 seconds or so for the president to say a final word here tonight. Dennis, good to have you here. Quick thought from you.
Well, we've talked about a number of things throughout the show. We've talked about just issues from where we want the plant to start, the seed to go into the ground, and just realize that Monty's offers a lot of tools for the farmer and gives you a lot of opportunities in order to overcome the issues that we have.
Very good. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you in April.
Hopefully.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for joining us tonight. Additional information, you can call that toll-free number or the website as well. I'm Mark Oppold. Good night from RFD-TV.
Attention collectors. Here's a die-cast treasure you won't want to miss, and it's not available in stores. The 1950 Chevrolet pickup, one of the most popular trucks in Chevy's Advanced Design Series. This revolutionary lineup of post-war models boasted the first all-new vehicles after World War II, and they outsold every other truck in America.